The streets of Abuja are bustling, the sun is setting, and traffic is at standstill. Tony, a young, hard-working man in his late 20s, was driving his modest car through the busy city looking frustrated. He muttered to himself, "If this traffic doesn't move soon, I'm going to be late for that meeting. What's wrong with people today?" As he drove past a busy intersection, he spotted an elderly woman, Mrs. Adebayo, standing on the sidewalk, waiting for a ride. She looked lost and a bit out of place. Tony hesitated for a moment, then pulled over. "Excuse me, ma'am. Are you headed somewhere? I can give you a lift if you need it." Mrs. Adebayo smiled warmly. "Oh, thank you, young man. I'm just trying to get to the other side of town. It's a bit difficult for me to get a cab at this hour." Tony responded, "Not a problem. Hop in. I'm headed that way too." Mrs. Adebayo got in, and Tony started driving. The two of them engaged in casual conversation. Tony asked, "So, what brings you to Abuja, ma'am? Do you live here?" Mrs. Adebayo with a soft chuckle. "Oh, I've lived here for many years, though I traveled around a lot. You could say I have a bit of a business here." Tony replied, "Hmm, that sounds interesting. What kind of business?" Mrs. Adebayo smiled with her eyes twinkling. "Let's just say I own a few estates. I've been blessed with a lot over the years, but I'm just a simple woman who enjoys helping people." Tony laughed lightly. "That's great. We need more people like you in the world." The ride continued in comfortable silence until they reached Mrs. Adebayo's destination. She thanked Tony as she prepares to step out of the car. Reaching for her purse, "Here, take something for your time." Tony shook his head. "No, no, ma'am. It was nothing. Just glad I could help." Mrs. Adebayo paused for a while, studying Tony's face. "You're a good man, I can tell. Keep your heart like that, and you'll go far." Tony smiled politely, unsure of what she meant, but he didn't argue. 2 weeks later, Tony's phone rang while he was at work. He picked it up and answered. "Hello, this is Tony." "Tony, this is Mrs. Adebayo. We met a few weeks ago when I needed a lift. Do you remember?" "Oh, of course, I remembered. How are you doing, ma'am?" asked Tony. "I'm doing very well, thank you. Listen, I've been thinking about you. I have a proposition for you. I want to meet you. Can you come to my office tomorrow morning?" "Your office? What's this about?" Tony asked. "I'll explain when you get here. Just be on time. I'll send the address." The next day, Tony arrived at a high-rise building in the heart of Abuja, a place that screams wealth and success. He walked inside, slightly overwhelmed, and was escorted to an office at the top floor. There, he found Mrs. Adebayo waiting for him, sitting behind a large desk filled with documents and business plans. Mrs. Adebayo smiled as she stood up to welcome Tony. "You're welcome. Please have a seat." Tony, being a bit nervous, thanked her. "I wasn't expecting all this, ma'am. You really do run a big business, don't you?" Mrs. Adebayo chuckled. "It's more than just a business. It's a legacy. And you, Tony, have something special. I've been watching you, your kindness, your dedication. I believe you have the potential to take on much more than what you're doing now." Tony, being a little confused. "I don't understand. What do you mean?" Mrs. Adebayo leaned forward with a serious tone. "I'm offering you a chance to manage one of my estates. I've seen how hard you work and how you treat others with respect. I think you have the qualities of a true leader. I want you to be the managing director of one of my companies here in Abuja." Tony was speechless, his eyes widened in disbelief. "Managing director? Me? But I don't have the experience for that kind of role." Mrs. Adebayo smiled kindly. "I don't doubt your ability, Tony. Experience can be learned, but integrity, hard work, and a good heart, those can't be taught. You already have those, and I believe in you." Tony sat there overwhelmed, barely able to process the sudden shift in his life. "I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mom. This is this is everything I've ever dreamt of." Mrs. Adebayo with a proud smile. "No need to thank me, Tony. This is just the beginning. Seize this opportunity and make it yours. You've earned it." Months passed, and Tony quickly adapts to his new role as managing director. Under his leadership, the estate business grew, and Tony gained respect in the corporate world. His hard work, humility, and dedication to the community made him a local success story. One evening, as he oversees a meeting in the estate's headquarters, he received a call from Mrs. Adebayo. "Tony, I see everything you're doing. The company is thriving under your leadership, and I couldn't be prouder. You've truly made this role your own." Tony felt a deep sense of fulfillment. "Thank you, Mom. I'm just following your example. You gave me a chance when no one else would, and I won't let you down." Mrs. Adebayo softly added, "You never will. I knew you were destined for greatness. Keep going." Tony hung up Standing by the window of his office, gazing out at the city from the modest beginnings of a simple drive, faith had brought him here. His life had changed in ways he never could have imagined, all because of a single act of kindness. Hope you're inspired by this story. Kindly subscribe for more value adding stories.